everyone, this is Alan Shimel of DevOps.com, and we're here live at the Fontainebleau Hotel in Miami Beach for AppianWorld 2018. Happy to be joined by Appian CEO and founder, Matt Calkins.
Thank you, Alan. It's great to be here.
It's great to have you here, Matt. So, Matt, I was lucky enough to be in the keynote room this morning, and it was a great keynote. Congratulations.
Thank you.
A lot of stuff we can dive into here.
Yeah.
But first of all, I wanted to talk a little bit about Lowcode. Mm-hmm. You know, at DevOps.com, Lowcode is something we've written and covered a lot about.
Yeah.
We have a lot of developers, a lot of DevOps people, hence the name. And it never, every time we write a low-code article or we publish a low-code article, there's always some developer who pops on there and says, well, this is great for simple apps, or, you know, real developers want to write in a CI. And I've fought this battle for most of my IT career, right? If you're not developing in VI, right, you're not really developing. All of these IDEs and stuff.
Right.
We've heard it before.
I only write in machine language myself.
Yeah, exactly. It's been a while. So, but you said something today that I thought was really powerful, and that is we don't need low-code tools to do easy apps.
To do simple things, exactly.
Right.
You need them for sophisticated things. You need them for the kind of things that businesses are actually yearning to do and finding they can't because of a shortage of developers.
Yep.
Right? They're all trying to define themselves in software these days. Everybody's got to be a software company. Everybody's got to write unique software that defines them and differentiates them from their competition and serves their customer in a specific way and lives up to their brand identity. Well, you can't write all that software using the old methods. We just don't have enough people to do that.
No.
So clearly, we're looking for some way to make software more quickly. Mm-hmm. And also to make it so that you can change it quickly. All right, so that you could do iterations, you could be agile about it, and you could run on different devices, and you could host it wherever you like, and it could be secure, and it could be definitional for an organization. Well, that's what we're trying to do. We're using low-code methodologies, but not to make simple things, to make sophisticated things.
So it's powerful low-code.
Yeah, you could call it that.
Yep. So, Matt, you mentioned one advantage of this, and that is less developers. Developers are kind of the alpha predator of the food cycle right now. They're hard to get. You had to pay them too much money, and everyone's struggling.
With this, they may be even more alpha, right? Take that alpha predator and then multiply their productivity by 20, and they're even more valuable, even more valuable than they were before.
And now, interestingly, in the interview before you, we were talking to one of your major partners, KPMG, and they were saying that, look, by using the Appian platform, they're seeing their customers employ more architects, software architects, analysts type of people who go, it's a broader base of people involved in planning and deploying these apps, right? Less maybe pure coders, but a more democratic, wider base of participation, which is never a bad thing usually.
Yeah, no, I'm all for that.
Yep. So, but there's another aspect to it, and that is speed. Speed kills in today's market. If you're slow, you're out, right?
That's right.
And so that's another advantage of low code, though, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, let's focus on what it means to win through speed. There's really a couple of races going on at any time. There's speed to market.
Yep.
And I think that's what you're talking about at first, right? That you've got to, if there's a new opportunity, you've got to be first to hit that opportunity. This has always been true in business. The first to arrive, the first to have a full offering is going to have an advantage. But there's another race also going on, and that has more to do with the customer experience. Customers need fast response, and when a customer calls, you don't need to invent a new industry. You just need to respond rapidly. And that's become so difficult. The way IT departments have built their enterprises, you've now got to touch so many systems to handle one customer request. Sometimes it takes several calls. Sometimes it takes hours or days to finally get done with what could have been a very simple request. So we need to win both races, and I think we're going to help in both. We're going to win the race of getting to market first, and then we're going to help our customers win the race of dealing with customer requests in an expeditious way.
Yep. So, Matt, on that note, you raised something at the keynote today. I just want to make sure I don't have it wrong. But it was the concept of, is it ICC?
It is. Intelligent Contact Center.
Why don't you tell our listeners or viewers what we mean by that?
Okay. The contact center market, okay, it's a call center. Fundamentally, it's a call center, all right?
Yeah.
But it's tomorrow's call center. It's going to be different. Call centers in the past have certain qualities, and we all know what they are because we have to deal with them. Right?
Yeah, every
You
day.
call these centers, and it's not a treat, and we want that to be better. It'd be better for every business productivity if they were able to handle their customer calls in a superior way. So there's an opportunity right now. The technology has arrived that would allow us to do a superior job of dealing with our customers on a call center basis, and we saw an opportunity for Appian to offer that solution before anybody else could do it, because we've got two key advantages. One of those advantages is there's no other company that brings together data from many different data sources and gathers it in real time to bring to bear on a decision. That should be de rigueur in a contact center environment. Every time you touch a company, it should be a continuation of the same long conversation with knowledge of everything that's happened before. Your trajectory as a customer, the things you've ordered or complained about or upgraded or bailed out of in the past, that should all be brought to bear. And so you have to first have access to that data, and Appian does give you access to that data without having to own or move the information. We give you that real-time insight. So that's point number one that gives us a big edge. Point number two is we've got the top-rated case management solution in the world as of now. Just the latest quadrant just came out.
Yep.
We stand alone case management. So world-class case management is part of a great customer center. And then third, now's the moment with a real inflection point in the customer center industry, because artificial intelligence is going to be a primary way that we address customer needs and predict what they want and have intuition about how best to handle them. Right, so we've got these three factors: the gathering of data from across the enterprise, the world-class case management, and the artificial intelligence. And Appian, only Appian, can provide all three of those. So it just seemed like the perfect time to step in here and say, why don't you get it from us? And
Perfect
we're
stuff.
partnered with some of the best, the kind of cross-channel communications companies that you could possibly be partnered with. Companies like Genesys, Twilio, Tenesys.
Yeah.
So we're
Powerful.
showing up with a meaningful.
Yeah, it's a big thing. You said
forward.
something that I thought was really profound off camera, Matt, that maybe all of this AI and call centers will make our call centers more human, instead of less human. And we've all been there, whether we're dealing with people who are sitting in the Philippines or India or Costa Rica or California.
Right.
It just doesn't seem like a pleasant, for the most part.
Yeah.
It's not a pleasant experience. Explain to our audience, what do you, I mean, you got into it a little here, and I think, but pull it together. What do you mean by that?
I probably should have said it at the keynote, actually.
It's powerful. I love it.
It's a good point now that I bring it up. Call centers have become so robotic, so impersonal, and so frustrating.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk to a machine. I want to talk to a person. And ideally, I want to talk to a person who remembers me, right? Who knows what I want, could guess it, knows what I went through in the past, knows what kind of a customer I am, knows the sort of things I'd prefer. Wouldn't that be nice, right? In the early years of business, we had that kind of relationship with everyone we did business with, because they recognized us when we came in the door.
Yeah.
So every interaction with a business used to be part of one long conversation, and now it's not. Now it's absolutely severed from every previous touch point, and that's frustrating. As a customer, that's frustrating. And so I want to get back to the point where I'm recognized as a person, right? And treated as a person. Instead of treated in this robotic, unknowledgeable fashion. And AI, by kind of gathering all that past data, processing it quickly, and making a recommendation, is going to be as close as you can get in today's call center environment to being recognized.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, it's kind of like the Discover card commercials where the person's calling themselves, right? But it's something for us to shoot for, certainly.
Yeah.
And it seems like Appian is kind of leading the way there. I want to talk a little bit about platforms.
Yeah.
So every junior software entrepreneur out there says, I'm not developing a tool, we're a platform.
Right.
But there are a few true platforms, right?
Yeah.
We think about Salesforce or some of the other real platforms. Appian has kind of achieved that status, right? Frankly, I don't think a tool vendor alone gets to kind of the heights you've scaled without it.
We really focused on being a platform. You're not done with your question. Sorry.
No, yeah, you hit it.
We really focused on
platform
this. We made sacrifices all along our growth path in order to maintain our focus on being a platform. Other firms, even if they intend to be a platform, begin in that direction, and they see the primary way in which their platform could be applied and then they go into that, like Documentum did into pharmaceuticals, or ServiceNow did into ITSM,
Yeah.
right? They start platform, but then they specialize. We went platform a long way. We got all the way, we got past our IPO still as a pure platform play, which, if we had to do it again, I'll tell you, that's the hard road.
Is it?
That's not easy.
Was it the hard but right road?
But in the end, it may prove to be the best road, because now we've got a platform that is far more powerful than that offered by vendors who specialized in one application or another.
Yeah. And not only that, though, look, my experience in 25 years plus in IT is it affords you so many avenues, whether it be partnering with partners who plug into your platform, different ways customers are going to use that platform in ways you may not even think of. We may not think of today. But like you said, it takes a tremendous amount of discipline, because at every exit there's a potential pot of gold, right? Or you think there could be a pot of gold there, and it takes a big person to keep going down the highway.
I love your point, though. It's great that those opportunities are left open to partners.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And that's what makes, we were talking earlier with partners, that's what makes for a robust partner program.
Yes.
Yep. So on this concept of platform, what do you see coming down the pike, as part of the platform, if you will?
Okay. Our primary focus is still platform, so that hasn't changed. Our intention is to cut in half the work it takes to build an application every 2 years. And so we analyze everything that takes time during the course of inventing, creating, rolling out an application, and we think, how can that be reduced? What parts of that could we minimize in order to cut it in half in 24 months?
So I'm going to stop you right here a second. Okay. So is this a Caulfield's law?
You mean Calkins?
No, Calkins, excuse me. I was thinking of Caulfield.
No problem.
Excuse me, but is this Calkins' law?
No, I don't want to take credit for a law. It's too easy to make up a law that's just based on somebody else's law. So no, this isn't but it's a meaningful goal. And it's an important goal because this industry is constrained by its complexity. The industry of allowing businesses to write their own applications is constrained, limited only by the complexity of the process by which those applications are created. So if we only make it easy, and maybe in a few more cutting in halves we will make it easy, it will unleash a revolution in unique applications. So that's what we're going for, and we have our foot on the pedal for simplicity, to reduce the complexity, reduce what I like to call the non-cash cost of making your next application. Right now, most businesses in the world think that when they make their next application, they have to code it. And we're trying to get the word out that, in fact, they could draw it. They could configure it. It could be much, much simpler than coding is.
So let's repeat it again for our audience. We want to cut the time to bring application or deploy applications in half.
Cut the time it takes to make and deploy and use an application by 50% every 2 years.
That's fantastic. Something to shoot for sure. Wanted to turn to another subject, which is, look, it's the buzz here, but frankly, it's been the buzz at every conference I go to lately, and that's artificial intelligence, AI, machine learning, whatever you want to call it. You spoke about it today. You announced some pretty cool integrations with Google, Amazon, and Microsoft, Azure. Talk to us a little about artificial intelligence.
Yeah, this is so exciting. It is one of the biggest things. As I mentioned in my keynote, generally technological revolutions are further away than you think, and they're bigger when they arrive. And I think that's the case with artificial intelligence right now. You've heard the buzz. It's at deafening levels. And yet, if you actually ask somebody, how has your business been changed by artificial intelligence? How does that, has your revenue increased? Are your customers any happier? Right. Generally, the answer is no, but I'm sure it's going to, right? Someday soon. And we've been hearing about it for years. So I think partly we're misdirecting technology. This is completely common, by the way. When a new technology comes along that we know is going to be popular, we often misdirect it or just shoot it in all directions and see where it ends up being effective. So artificial intelligence is going through an experimental period like that, and it's going to shake out, and we're going to realize where it actually belongs in the stack and in the enterprise. It belongs doing evaluation tasks. It belongs doing recommendation tasks, quantification, like how valuable is this customer? How valuable is that contract? How valuable is right? This is the sort of thing that artificial intelligence should do. It's low in the stack, and it's based on a stable and large data set in which there won't be any paradigm changes. And so we introduced, just today, a sentiment analysis module that takes speech or text as an input, and then tells you how happy this customer is. Right? So the customer sends you a text, or they give you a call and you transcribe it, or they send you an email or something, and then we take that text information and say, that customer is a 35 out of 100. Maybe you want to do something about that.
Right.
Okay, this is a great job for AI, and we've built it into Appian, so now that is just a button click away. You can just layer that over any text you get, and that comes built in with the product. We also did these integrations into the primary AI platforms because we didn't want to specialize. We are committed agnostics when it comes to new platforms and new technologies. We believe that customers should have their choice, their best of breed choice. We made a big point about anywhere in our talk today. I said, at Appian, you're going to be able to run the software anywhere, you can host it anywhere, you can put your data anywhere. Maybe we get to that in a second. But our belief about anywhere and agnosticism extends absolutely to AI. And we think there's some incredible AI functionality being developed out there by the major companies. And we want to give our customers free and easy access to it.
And it's part of the platform, right? You're not an AI company per se, that you're not developing the AI engine or what have you. There are plenty of people dumping billions of dollars into that. And as the platform play, you leverage that.
Yeah, that's right. And that's what our customers want to do also. They've got a reason to prefer one over the other. We're going to let them have that preference.
Great. Let's talk a little. You mentioned the run any or the anywhere kind of philosophy. We can call it a mantra. Right. It's run anywhere, data anywhere, host anywhere.
And host anywhere, absolutely. I think this is, if you're going to build a new application, if you're a company and you're going to build a new application, you want this degree of freedom. You want to be able to put that application in the location you want and run it on the device you want and have the data stay wherever it was and still be used by the new application. These are basic requests, and yet it's astonishing how none of our competitors actually offers you these three basic degrees of freedom.
It's beyond astonishing. In looking at the market and looking at cloud providers, some of the companies you're mentioning, it's funny how much of the stuff they do is really meant to lock in rather than allow you out, right?
It's not funny. I mean, they're laughing all the way to the bank about that.
Yeah,
yes,
they have.
It's absolutely about the lock-in.
It's about the lock-in.
And we are the anti-lock-in alternative. We expect that the lock-in will continue, and we're kind of betting on it because we're your get-out-of-jail key. And if you get trapped on one cloud, right, we'll say, hey, we're agnostic, we're containerized, we're cloud agnostic, you can host it anywhere, do what you want with this application, and we're going to give you leverage to negotiate your cloud contract down because you'll be able to say, hey, my Appian applications are totally portable.
Right.
You don't have me trapped.
Anywhere.
That's right. All right, so we want to be the answer to lock-in.
Great. Wanted to bring up another subject that we didn't really talk about off camera, and that's security. Right. Yeah. We've got GDPR coming out in 30 days from today, or there about 31 days.
Exciting.
Finally. We've been waiting for it a long time. But beyond GDPR, security, maybe it's because I was at RSA last week and there were 50,000 people screaming about cybersecurity. But security is at the top of everyone's mind. You mentioned it in your keynote today.
It's a big deal. And it's becoming, we've kind of made it into a big problem because of the way we've created our enterprises. Because we've had this kind of almost like a reactive cycle. We got a problem, you hit it with a silo. You got a problem, you hit it with another silo, and what you're left with eventually is 1,000 silos, which means 1,000 silos worth of perimeter, 1,000 entry points, 1,000 applications that can have exploits against them, and they've got permissions into each other. And so we've created a enterprise which is naturally porous, and by we I mean just the business world. And so what we need to do is centralize and protect. And one of the ways you do that is you tear down 100 silos and write 100 applications in Appian and have everybody access them just through the Appian interface. Whether or not they're totally replaced or just intermediated, we become the perimeter. And so it's incumbent on us to take our perimeter very seriously, and we have. We were one of the first 25 companies in the world to get FedRAMP, for example. We've got a slew of other things, right? So we take security seriously. Nobody's bulletproof, but we take it really seriously. And we're a clear step up from having 100 independent, out-of-date silos that you don't know how to upgrade and you can't configure. And right, this is such a leap forward. We want to be a security enhancement for our customers.
Got it. Perfect. Matt, I wanted to bring up another subject. I remember interviewing Luke Kahili, who is the chairman of the board of Puppet.
Right.
I don't know if you're probably familiar with them. He said something to me, it was 2-3 years ago. He said, Alan, I don't know whether it's going to be 10 years or 20 years or 30 years, but there's going to come a time where all of our software is written by other software, right? It's kind of, maybe that's AI. What do you think about that, especially in terms of your Appian?
Well, you can count me skeptical on that. I don't see that coming anytime soon. I think AI belongs down the stack, not up the stack. AI isn't going to run your company. It's not going to set your prices, and it's not going to set interest rates or write your software. These jobs are better for humans. AI is good at repetitive things, the context of which is both data rich and unchanging. Software is changing all the time, and new languages are coming out, and new techniques need to be developed, and I don't think that's a great place to deploy AI. A lot of nightmare scenarios, Skynet stuff, depends. I mean, the beginning of those stories is always, when
Benevolent.
software learned to write software, that's when hell broke loose, right? So fortunately, I don't think we're anywhere close to that. So AI should be kept where it belongs, which is as an advisor and an evaluator.
The road to perdition is paved with good intentions, right? Bring up something else, though, talking about the future. So this is transition 2018 was sort of...
It was a big year for us, right? We just did our IPO. So we got a lot more profile. We're better known than we used to be. And so we kind of using that, we are entering the application market, and we've got a huge partner turnout. We've had more prospects here at this conference than ever before, like by a multiple.
Great.
So big things are changing. Sorry, you didn't even
No. I'm all good with that.
All right.
I mean, that's exactly what I wanted you to say. It. I mean, just in context, I think there's about 1,500 people here, you said?
Something like that.
Some registered number like that, it's a big conference.
Yeah.
Big user conference. But let's put on our crystal balls, if we can, and our turbans and look into the future as best we can. AppianWorld 2020, you're up here making your keynote speech.
Yeah.
What's the big story 2 years from now?
All right. Well, you teed me up for that one. You said 2 years from now, and you know what I'm going to say. It's going to be that applications are twice as fast to develop. But in addition to that, I think the big story will be partners are the primary way that Appian is implemented around the world. I think that's a big shift. Partners are taking over that role, and I think that you're going to see more of it. I believe that the other big story is that we're just staying focused here. We're not getting distracted. You won't see us launching tangential efforts. We're onto something big here. I believe that nobody's doing a better job in the world today than Appian at enabling the easy construction of sophisticated, unique software. So we're going to keep doing it. We know the world needs a lot of unique, sophisticated software. So we're just going to keep getting better at that. And I'm not interested in taking the company in a strange direction. We just need to focus and push this envelope. And as I said this morning, I think it leads to a renaissance.
Yep. So I heard you say that a few times this morning. And to me, I always think of renaissance as a rebirth.
Yes.
But it almost feels like this is more of a revolution. Like we haven't... What you're thinking about being unleashed, I don't know if we've seen the likes of this in human history, really.
Okay. Well, I'll try to defend the term. All right. First of all, I said renaissance. I said there's going to be a renaissance of unique applications as soon as we can make it simple enough to build them. And that's why we keep trying to make it simpler to build. And when there is that renaissance of unique applications, you're going to see a lot of unique behaviors. Companies are going to be able to carry out unique behavior sets instead of feeling locked into like a typical call center today, where it seems so robotic and so dehumanizing. It's going to be unique and different and instead more human. So that's where we want to go, which means that if we succeed in sparking this renaissance, we're also going to spark an ability for companies to reassert their own personalities. Companies, they have histories where they used to give personal service, and then the software revolution came along and they all chose efficiency over personality. And software homogenized the business world for 3 decades now. And now we're going to see a reassertion of unique corporate behavior because it's going to be possible to break out of homogenizing software packages. So I guess that would be my best defense for why it's a renaissance instead of a revolution.
Let me ask you to take a little bit of a longer term view now. Appian World 2025. Hard to imagine, I know.
I try not
7 years. But if you had to, just throw some stakes in the ground, what do you think might be out there 7 years from now? What does it look like?
Okay. I do think that 7 years out, the industry, the software industry that has to do with making unique applications is a major industry in software. This is one of those pillars, right? Well, a foundational, a primary industry in the software market. So like operating systems, search, relational databases, it's that kind of a concept. This can be big. The company that wins this, or the winners of this, they are going to be very important, meaningful, valuable companies. And so I'll say that I think the road we're going on, it's a long road, right? And it goes good places.
And it goes to good big places.
Yeah.
Fair enough. On that note, I'm going to share a quick story with you. I'm going to get your feedback on it and ask you how it applies to you. So about 21 years ago, I, quite by accident, founded a company that did pretty well. And as these things happen, I wound up selling the company to a gentleman named Brad Feld, actually. Brad is a pretty well-known VC guy at Foundry Group, and at the time it was SoftBank. And his mentor was his partner in it. I sold the company to them and worked with them afterwards. He gave me some interesting advice. And this was Brad's mentor. He was in his 70s back then. He's still alive. But anyway, he said, Alan, he didn't use this word. He used another word. But he said anybody can get lucky and catch lightning in a bottle and found a company that can do $3 or $4 million. He said, and there's a small subset of those people who are good enough and smart enough or lucky enough to take that company to $12 to $15 million in revenue. He says, but then you get to that next level of 35 million. He said, generally you need a professional kind of manager and management team. And then you get to 75, 100 and more million dollars, and you start talking IPOs. And he said, it's a very, very rare bird who can start that company at that 0 to 3 and is still here leading the charge at IPO and 100 million. You're one of those rare birds? And I'd love our audience to hear a little bit about your journey, your personal journey with Appian.
Nice of you to mention. I'm not making any claims, but I will say that I think it's often been a good thing for technology companies to be run by a founder. Mm-hmm. In many cases, the founder has a certain interest, maybe vision, maybe credibility within the organization, maybe determined long-sightedness that turns out to be a good thing for certain companies in our space. So
yeah,
it's been an interesting trip, and the reason why I've been able to stay with it for so long is it keeps changing so much. I started the business when I was pretty young, and so I've learned a lot as the business has grown.
Sure have. Well, that's part of running a business, right? Yeah. So you have your vision of Appian, right? You've kind of stayed true to your vision. Yeah. But what about all these folks out here in YouTube land and wherever they'd be watching it? What should they think of when they think of Appian?
All right. They should think that in the future, you may not have to write applications, you could draw them. We're gonna bring the world away to make their own applications in a really simple way. We're gonna cut the cost by 95% or more of building a new application and changing an application. And this is gonna lead to a renaissance in what applications are made, how many applications are made, how rapidly applications are iterated, and how companies differentiate themselves through their own behavior.
Excellent. Man, I think we're about done here, but I just wanted to double check because I don't get a chance to talk to you that often. We spoke about host anywhere, run anywhere. Oh, let's talk a little bit about containers. We didn't really mention that.
Okay.
You made an announcement today about Docker, mentioned
That's right.
Kubernetes. Mm-hmm. Look, we're seeing it at DevOps.com, and we actually have a little sister site we launched called Container Journal.
Okay.
I lived through the VMware hypervisor years, and you did
That's
too.
Right. Yes.
this seems almost fast, and maybe it's just internet time compressing, but this seems faster.
It's fast.
And broader even than hypervisors.
I love how suddenly everyone realizes this is a great idea.
Yeah,
And so we're all
25
piling
years
onto
in the
piling onto the bandwagon. But yeah, I mean, there's so many advantages to it. I love the portability, the ease of install, the adaptability, the agnosticism is so important to me. Right?
Yeah.
If I had to pick one virtue of this, that would probably be it. I love the agnosticism,
It's
the
open.
platform agnosticism. Yeah.
I mean, and the Kubernetes, the whole Kubernetes play by Google, forget everything else you want, like or dislike Google. Kubernetes has just leveled the playing field.
And I love how it's been adopted, right? So there aren't wars over whether to adopt Kubernetes. We just agree. You know,
Everyone adopts Kubernetes. Everyone has their, and it's not the Microsoft, Lotus, Windows ain't done till Lotus doesn't run.
Yeah.
Remember those days?
Yeah, that's right.
If you do Kubernetes, you can basically run Kubernetes anywhere.
Yeah.
But
It's
yeah,
a remarkable
excellent.
thing, and actually, it's a testament. It's a sign of how our industry has changed. Because in the past, an idea like this would have spawned several competing concepts
Yep.
in order for each of the elephants to muscle their own space and trap their own customers. And apparently now there's either more cooperative major companies or less tolerant customers because we don't have any of that monkey business.
So call me a skeptic, but I tend to err on the side of customers don't tolerate it. We live, you mentioned it in your keynote too, it's about open.
Yeah.
If you're not, this embrace and extend stuff that we saw in the 90s and the 80s, it just doesn't fly today. You've got to be open and standards-based. No, I don't think anyone's going to stand for
I
it.
think you're right.
I hope so.
There's also a little bit of backlash. A company like Microsoft, which has paid the price for being a closed shop and has now found religion, and that I think that they're
I give them
committed to
credit.
being.
Yeah, no, they're beyond committed. They in many ways lead.
Yeah.
And you look at some of the other companies that talked about open. I mean, Microsoft's way out there, and it's a different company than it was back when I was in the hosting
A
business.
different era. Yeah.
Yes, it is. Anyway, on that note, I think we're going to wrap up here.
Right, Alan, it's been terrific.
Thank you. Matt, thank you for appearing with us.
Yeah.
This is Alan Shimel from AppianWorld 2018 in Miami Beach, Florida. Have a great day, everyone.